Welcome to Get Growing. It's a beautiful day in April and we're at the front pasture of Biondo Farm and Kitchen. And we are at my treasure trove of resources here. On my right, this is washed dairy manure that I get from this guy named Mark in Auburn, I think. It is dairy manure, it's washed, whatever that means. And I got it in September or October. It's been sitting there under these covers all winter. I've been using it since January. Behind me is perfectly sterile organic compost from here on the island. It's black, it's beautiful, and it doesn't have a whole lot of life in it, but it's nice. So if you have wood chips, I dig down to my older chips. You can see how dry these are, and they're still pretty chippy. Down here, these are chips that have been sitting here all winter, and they are partially decomposed, and we're gonna put them in the wheelbarrow. Let's do a couple of these, and then we're gonna come over here to the compost. And no, there's absolutely no order. There's no right and no wrong. So we'll put 3 scoops of that. Then we're gonna come over here to the washed dairy manure. Oh, look at all those worms in there. So I have discovered that this manure has a whole lot less weed in it, which is very cool. And that's Hazel over there hunting for rats. Okay, so you can see that was an exact measurement of some of this, some of that, and some of the other. Now we'll go back to the greenhouse and mix it all up. Before we go into the greenhouse, let's mix this up, and I'm gonna grab a tiny, smaller thing and break up some of the manure. Yes, it got wet. So what I'm doing here is just mixing in the wood chips, the compost, the manure, and you can do it any way that suits you. I suppose you could use a stick blender if you had one with a really big blade on it. And the wood chips, if they're at least partially decomposed, they add some lightness to your mix. And then you've got your compost and your manure, and it's never going to be perfectly smooth, and that is okay. Now, isn't that pretty? It smells delicious. It smells like the future of tomatoes. Ooh, I smell some flowers in there, and some shallots, and some basil. Doesn't taste like much. Okay, now let's go into the greenhouse. You could use this just like this. So that's one option, or you might say stage 1. If you're potting up anything, you can just fill your pot and stick your little plant in there. Got worms, all kinds of microbes, all kinds of good stuff. Also, if you feel like, oh, it's just a little too heavy, you can add some professional potting mix. So you can see that this is perfectly sterile and has no life. But when you've got really, 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 really young seedlings, they don't need a whole lot of nutrient. If you give them too much nutrient when they're itty bitty, you risk having them rot or get too much bloat. In the seed, there's enough nutrient for them to set root, send up their first few leaves, and then you can start feeding them. So by adding some professional potting mix, you will get something a little lighter. And the longer you stir it, the more it will become like this. To this, I have added some basic fertilizers. I've added some lime because, like Michelle Crawford says, lime is like the straw in your soil. It allows the uptake of the other nutrients that you put in it. So, put in a little lime, the lime in the coconut, and drink it all up. And there you have it. You have beautiful soil. Thank you for watching, and plant something, anything. See you soon.